Anti-racism protests continue in a number of cities across the United States. The new wave of demonstrations sparked by the police shooting last week of Jacob Blake in Kenosha, Wisconsin. The 29-year-old African-American remains paralyzed in hospital. On Saturday night, dozens of President Trump's supporters confronted protesters in Portland, Oregon. One person was shot and killed in circumstances still to be established.
This afternoon, my heart is heavy.
The city's mayor insists that President Trump must bear responsibility.
It's you who have created the hate and the division. President Trump, you bring no peace. You bring no respect to our democracy. You, Mr. President, need to do your job as the leader of this nation.
President Trump spent part of the day playing golf, but only after sending dozens of tweets lashing out at the Portland mayor. Trump described his supporters who'd converged on the city to hold counter-demonstrations as great patriots, urging others to follow their lead. His chief of staff denies the president is inciting violence.
We've had over 200 anarchists, and they're not peaceful protesters. These are people that every single night conduct violent acts, and it is in Democrat cities. You know, you want to talk about Donald Trump's America. Most of Donald Trump's America is peaceful. It is a Democrat-led city in Portland that we're talking about this morning.
People are getting injured.
A 17-year-old self-described supporter of President Trump has been charged with killing 2 people in Kenosha in the days after the Jacob Blake shooting. The president is still to condemn the killings and insists he will visit Kenosha on Tuesday, despite the mayor there asking him not to.
I think that when you look at the issues that are going on in the community, this community is trying to heal. We're trying to pull together, and I think that at this point in time, it's not the best idea.
Following days of protests in Kenosha against police brutality, a small group gathered to express their support for police, an indication of the ongoing divisions within this country, which critics contend President Trump is intent on exploiting amid his campaign for re-election. Mike Hanna, Al Jazeera, Washington.
Jason Stanley is a professor of philosophy at Yale University and the author of How Fascism Works. He says the US president has incited violence to boost his campaign message of fear.
Mayor Ted Wheeler was really heroic in his speech. It was really a remarkable thing to state the truth so clearly, and that's what we need from more politicians in the United States today. The president is using the tactic of inciting protests. Let's recall that the president sent federal forces into the city of Portland to incite protesters when the Black Lives Matter protests were dying out. And he incited these protests and incited also, property damage and made them larger in order to run on a message of law and order. And now we're seeing him foment and encourage militias, which is, of course, extremely dangerous, the kind of vigilantism that we've seen in Kenosha, where ordinary citizens thinking they are, supporting the president, I suppose they are, but ordinary citizens that are not part of any officialdom go on the streets armed. I mean, this is the hallmark of authoritarian movements worldwide.